Welcome to my documentary about internet tools, apps, and resources. This course has been very enlightening and very challenging, as you will see by the following documentary. I have listed here several slides showing each of the projects. All of them were interesting with different degrees of challenge. The Office Mix project obviously would be very useful in the classroom. Powtoon is a great way to engage students and is a fun, dynamic way to present information. Comic Life I enjoyed most of all. I felt that this one gave students a lot of creative autonomy. The Alice project was the most challenging. It was very difficult for me to figure out the coding and the process of the system. I think that would be best suited for higher level students in the older grades. The Weebly is a great way to organize information, and this documentary is a fabulous way to put it all together. Taking this course has been an unexpected journey. In the beginning, I thought I knew what the terms meant. Now that we have reached close to the end, I understand how little I really understood about internet tools, apps, and resources, and what they can do for teachers and students and parents. I'm very pleased with the learning that has occurred and feel that it will be a great asset to my teaching career. Differentiating tools, applications, and resources has become clearer to me as the class has progressed. A tool like Google allows you to access the internet via a browser. An application like Comic Life or Narrable allows the user to have interactivity, and a resource provides information. So one would use an application through a tool guided perhaps by a resource. And that's my take on understanding differentiation from the class of tools, applications, and resources. The process of exploring tools was interesting. I had no clue about any of it before this course. What became apparent to me was that you have to have in mind what your purpose is for education when you use the tool. In this case, Google to me is by far the best thing out there. There are so many different ways to collaborate with the community, with parents, with other teachers as well as students. And to that end, I found a brief piece online from the Future of Education Technology Conference where a fellow teacher describes his choice in using Google. I find that its collaboration power is wonderful and it's an amazing learning tool.
Summer course, collect assignments, collect grades, track students, give them feedback without any system in place. And so I decided that because of the nature of the course I was teaching, which is a course I'll be speaking about tomorrow called Personal Branding, we use social media and we teach social media. And so the idea was, how can I take a tool that I would like the kids to master and actually incorporate it into our everyday use? So it becomes natural, it becomes something that the kids can use. Now, as a byproduct of turning to Google Plus for this, I actually found that it not only changed the way I could communicate with my students, but it also changed the look of my classroom overall. There was a time when my
Exploring applications for educational purposes is an interesting question. We certainly did a lot of that in this course, and there's a ton that we could list here in this documentary. I took a moment to think about, why are we looking into this, and what is the real purpose when we have a class of using an application? And the answer I came up with is not dependent upon any particular app, but rather its goal. And I feel that the goal should be higher order thinking. So to this end, I found a short video which explains my opinion.
So you want to use iPads in your classroom? Did you know apps can encourage higher order thinking? But there are so many apps. Which ones do I choose? You may think that the best apps are the ones that have the content there for you. But apps that provide you with the content are only really getting the students to remember or understand. Like these apps, remember and understand. While they are still great apps, the best apps are those that are content-free and allow the students to evaluate and create. For example, iMovie could be used to create. iVideos, documentaries, plays, the opportunities are endless. Content-free apps allow the students to be in control. They input the data, they choose, they create, they evaluate, they collaborate. So don't just use those iPads to replace a piece of paper. Use them to encourage higher order thinking.
Exploring resources for this class was one of my favorite activities. I found the participation in the discussion was very enriching. The input from my classmates who are coming from other fields was very helpful. I never would have considered some of the resources for math or language arts or social studies that they came up with. I think, again, the goal is to keep your education focus in mind as to how to use that resource. My choice was National Geographic Education for its far-reaching abilities, but I could certainly see using some of the other ones in my art activities for cross-curricular purposes. My top tool of choice is Google. Google is a universe of usefulness, from calendar to mail to drive to translate. There are so many different ways to apply it for teaching, for communication with students and teachers. It's amazing. I've often used it to translate, to communicate with students of other languages, certainly for collaborating with peers in this program. And here's a short video, testimony from students regarding the power of Google as a tool.
One of the things I liked about Google Docs is the fact that you could be collaborative with it and do it live. And there were some issues with when there were some technological issues, we had to do it at home with Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, and people actually had to work on different things, and we didn't know what each other were actually updating, and so we started working on the same things and changing the same things, and it was really different. But when we started doing Google Docs, we were able to work live, not just in school but at home, so you don't have to be around the same computer, and you can work collaboratively, and it was a lot more efficient.
My top app is Comic Life. I really enjoyed this part of the class. It's a great way for students to connect personally with the materials, to use storytelling and sequence techniques, and I found a great testimony online regarding the use of this app in the classroom.
Comic Life is wonderful, a wonderful app for storytelling, for reflection. Say the children have just come back from a camp and you want to write a reflection on it. Great for school holidays. My wife Jill, who is a Japanese teacher, is using Comic Life with her high school students, taking advantage of the language settings that you can change on the keyboard on the iPad. So lots of different things here.
My top resource choice is National Geographic Education. Not only does it start from a perspective of science, but it can lead into any other field. There's a lot of cross-curricular opportunities here with the materials they present, articles, blogs, videos, etc. Here's a short testimony from the education creators regarding this resource.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Julie Brown, and I will be your host today for our discussion about how to use media effectively in the classroom. We're thrilled to have you joining us again today with our wonderful panel. The goal of this meeting is to introduce you to our National Geographic programs that are launching this fall, and also to introduce you to the accompanying support materials that have been designed to go along with these programs. We've assembled a panel of channel and education representatives to introduce the new National Geographic offerings.
There were several challenges with this course. The first challenge was maintaining attention to the progress and time, tracking your time and making sure that everything was due when it needed to be. There was a lot of work to be done in a very short amount of time. I initially had problems with my technology. My school-issued computer would not permit me to download several of the programs, so I ended up buying a new laptop to accommodate that. In regard to some of the projects, the Alice project for me was the hardest. Learning the coding, wrapping my head around how to get it done was a real bear. Overall, having gone through these challenges, I feel proud of my progress. I've learned several lessons from this course. The first lesson is that there is a world of learning to be had on the internet, and that teachers can become better teachers by exploring that content. The second lesson I learned is to move forward quickly with intention on projects so that you don't fall behind or become frustrated. Keep a steady pace. And a third lesson I learned is that we are all trying to find ways for our students to achieve. And I think nowadays we're also finding ways for each other to achieve. And that was definitely a lesson I learned from the discussions that we shared. The advice I'd like to share from having taken this course is, number one, don't procrastinate. Number two, make it a point to communicate with your peers to move forward, not only in a class like this, but when you get back to your teaching environment. Take this with you. Another piece of advice I would have is allow yourself to be a self-starting learner in technology. Don't just stop with the recommended topics from this course, but see what else is on the horizon, because what I saw through this is that every day there are new technological opportunities for us all, and it's very exciting. In conclusion, this class has been extremely worthwhile. It was a lot of work for a summer course. I think taking it during another part of the year would be interesting, but I wonder if it would have the same degree of efficacy, because it was such a quick turnaround and there was so much that we explored in such a short period that it really made a great impact. I feel that I'm definitely going to take back to my teaching a lot from this course, and overall it was fully worth every moment. I never knew there was so much to the internet in terms of apps and resources and tools, and I'm very appreciative of Dr. Baylen and to my classmates for everything we've done together in this class.